and I'm so honored to share with you some memories and some stories about my husband, Stan Kikkert. So our story actually begins at the University of California, Davis, where we were both graduate students. He was in microbiology and I was in nutrition science. And this photo was actually taken about a month after we started dating. Yes, it's Halloween. I'm sure you figured that out. I found an old bridesmaid's dress and got some cheap props and said, woohoo, fairy princess, I'm done. And then he had to show me up and put a lot more effort into his costume. He is actually Odysseus, or Ulysses, in Roman mythology. And yes, I had to ask. And so his idea of a clue was quoting the Iliad, which did not help at all. So Stan actually started grad school before I did, and he finished before I did, and as a consequence, he found a job before I did. And he ended up getting a job as a residential faculty member at Mesa Community College on Southern and Dobson. And in addition to teaching microbiology and regular biology, he was also director of the biotechnology program at MCC. And he is actually pictured here with some of his students in that program. So I was finishing up my dissertation during his first year at MCC, and when I was done, I was offered a postdoctoral position. And I turned it down because I didn't want to be in the lab anymore, number one. And number two, I didn't want to be apart from Stan anymore. So I ended up moving here to Arizona to be with him, and I didn't have a job. I was interested in a job in student affairs, and I just figured, well, between ASU and the community college district, I'm going to find something. And it took longer than I would have thought. And it was such a bummer, because here I am, I've got my degree, I'm raring to go, and nothing, right? And I felt really frustrated and embarrassed because, you know, here my wonderful husband has got a dream job, and he's making a difference, he's helping students, etc. And I've got, you know, goose egg, right? And it just, if you know anything about trying to break into ASU or the community college system, it takes a while, right? But I didn't know that. And I was just, you know, drowning in, you know, my own pity or whatever. And at one point I was just ready to have a meltdown. I'm on the verge of tears. And he looked me straight in the eye and he said 3 words. He said, "We're a team." And with those 3 words, I just felt so much love, so much support, you know, so much kindness and commitment. And I climbed out of my hole, and I eventually broke into both systems. And until very recently, I was at ASU Poly. So because of that kindness and so many others, you know, throughout our time together, I said, you know, I got to pay this guy back, right? So I thought, how can I do that? Here's Exhibit A. All right? Stan grew up camping. I did not grow up camping. So for me to go camping is a huge concession. Now, it is admittedly beautiful. This is actually the eastern Sierra Nevada mountains in the great state of California. He's there on the left. He's into it. There's his brother Dan is on the right, and I'm getting coffee, you know, we're trying to survive it. I actually did end up liking camping, but that being said, there was always, the last night was always in a hotel or a motel room. That was part of the negotiation. So he was happy as Stan was in the outdoors. So he used to go to Alaska every summer to recharge and rejuvenate. We actually had some friends who lived about 3.5 miles away from Anchorage in the interior, and we ended up buying a piece of land there. And I went with him a couple of times. One time when we went, we helped our friends smoke some salmon. You know, when it gets so cold in Alaska as it does in the winter, or you put up stuff during the summer. So that was the day that, you know, we helped our friends do that. And it was nice there too, but it was like camping, let me tell you. So, mercifully, we went on regular vacations. At my job at ASU, I used to go to a lot of conferences, and I would always, you know, drag them along because they were in some really cool cities. So we actually went to New York City together for the first time, and Stan was an amateur investor, so he was just like, dang, we got to go to Wall Street, we got to stand next to that bull statue. So here's Stan standing next to the bull statue. And if you know anything about Stan, when he takes pictures, if it's appropriate, he'll find a way to add a little something to it. So if you look closely, the pockets of his pants are pulled out. You know, he's going like, hey, this is how successful I am at investing. So our life just went along. There was work, there was play, and then came the big kick in the butt. So I was at a meeting at work one time. I came back to my office and I see that there's a voicemail. And I checked the voicemail and it's Stan. And he said, hey, you know, before I went to my lecture this morning, I went to the bathroom and there's pee in my urine. And Delane, one of the other faculty members, she said that's not normal, so I need to go to the doctor. So I'm gonna walk to Banner Desert to the ER because it's across the street, as you might know, from MCC. So of course I'm like, all right, I'm getting in my car and I am just going there like now. And so I went there, and I'm sitting with him in the ER, and we're just waiting, you know, tests are done, blah, blah, blah. And then the ER doctor asked him, have you fallen off a ladder lately? He said, no, I haven't. How about a fight? Have you been in a fight lately? And if you know anything about Stan, that question is just, yeah, no, have not been in a fight lately. But then she said, well, you're going to have to be admitted to the hospital. And we found out later on that he had cancer in both kidneys. They tried to save the left kidney and they could not. So he had to go on dialysis, specifically peritoneal dialysis or PD. And not only that, because his cancer happened, because the cancer happened, he couldn't get a transplant right away. I mean, there could have been somebody like lined up, you know, ready. It wouldn't have mattered because they wanted to make sure he was cancer-free for 2 years. So he was on PD. Well, what's that like? So this is a gross oversimplification, but imagine that there's a tube in your stomach, you're connected to a machine, and this machine will pump sugar, water, or dextrose in your abdomen. It sits there for a little bit, and then it's sucked out. And that goes on for 12 hours. So big life change, big lifestyle change. So think about the things he likes to do. You know, camping out. Alaska, they've got electricity, but it's not practical. And, you know, even to just go on a simple trip, it's not like, hey, I'm going to pack a duffel bag and I'm out of here. It's like there's the machine, there's the, you know, sugar water, there's the gloves, there's the mask. I mean, it was a production to pack and go anywhere. And in July 2016, 3 months before that 2-year mark, right? We found out, or he found, well, I guess we both found out that he actually had an enlarged heart. And that, as you can imagine, really put him down in the hole. He's like, God, I can't believe it. I'm just so close, right? You know, to qualifying for a transplant, and now this. So, but during all of this, he actually told me, you know what? I am so sorry that you have to go through all this. And I looked at him and I said 3 words. I said, we're a team. And I said, and you know what? Don't worry about me. We're going to worry about you. So that's what we did for the rest of the summer. And he had the wherewithal to, you know, say, hey, to consent to a staycation. And we went to the Boulders Resort in Cave Creek. And I was just so thrilled because he liked it. Mr. Outdoorsy actually liked staying in a resort. And I think it's because it was very cabin-like. It was this casita, and it was alone, and it was surrounded by desert flora. And in fact, this was taken on our balcony because he was just so jazzed. He's like, ooh, let's take a picture for our Christmas card. You know, it's like, it's going to look really nice. And that's what you see here is this picture. And then, so last December, he decided, well, this is when I'm going to have that heart valve surgery, because if I do it during the extended break, then I'll have time to recover, and then I can teach during the spring. And of course, that did not happen. And in his absence, a tribe of family and friends came in and gave me love and support and kindness. And I would not have made it without them. But there are some things that I have to and continue to navigate by myself. So last month, I actually went to a UC Davis alumni event. They have an Arizona chapter. That's something that we always thought we'd do together, and just one of many things. And I almost bailed out, because it's just like, I can't go to this thing. I mean, this, I just can't imagine. But I went, and it actually took place in the warehouse district in Phoenix. And the host, who owns a software company, just took us around for a tour of the office suites, and she said, hey, she points up to the wall in one of the rooms, and she said, we saved a sign from the business that used to be here for years. And I saw it, and I was so stunned. This is the business. I wanted to take a picture. I, didn't want to look like a weirdo, because nobody there knew me, right? It's like, why are you taking a picture of this sausage sign? But I found it on the internet, and that's what you see here. And I really took this as a sign that Stan's still with me, and we're still a team.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow.